Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Dow, and I'm going to make this screencast just to sort of show you how to search for resources for your research paper story, which you should be doing this week. So, the first thing I would say is to read the document that describes the assignment, exactly what it is you're looking for to get when it comes to these sources, and then you should go through this screencast with me just to see some examples of what we're talking about. This is the library homepage, which you can see. I wanted before, I'm going to go into those databases in a second. Before I do that, though, let me just show you that down here under Research Help, under Guides by Subject, they do have a lot of very specific information just for this class, for English 101. So let's get in there. Let me show you. Okay, I've got 42 subjects here. Obviously, we want to look at English. It's down here. And you can see a list of classes. So if I click on our class, English 101, the library set up quite a few resources here to help you. Here's a place you can get the stories themselves. You can get the master plots. Here you can search through the library's regular books and their ebooks. Here are journal articles. And in each one of these tabs, they kind of explain the process as well. This is a good resource for you. I'm not going to go into this specifically right now, but it is a way that you can get some more information about this whole process of finding resources. Let me go back now to where we were on the library homepage. And since I've already done this, as a class, we've looked for the master plots in EBSCOhost. I want to go straight into looking for secondary sources for my research paper into the databases. Remember, I got a list of all these databases Citrus responds to or subscribes to. We looked at EBSCOhost under E. I'm going to direct you to G. You guys don't need me to tell you how to use EBSCOhost since you've already done it. Under G, though, I think these are the most helpful ones for the English 101 research paper. See, I've got 3 different things from a company called Gale. I'm going to look at both the Gale Literature Resource Center and I'm going to look at the Gale Virtual Reference Library and talk about those. You might not have to do both of these. If you're only going to do one, do Gale Literature Resource Center. But some of you might have to go one step further and do the second Gale. Let's take a look at the Gale Literature Resource Center and see how we can get sources out for that. All right, I'm being directed straight to a, so it's search boxes. Sometimes it'll direct you to your My Library account number, and you have to enter your passcode or whatever. But generally, you should end up here. So I'm gonna search. I'm gonna use the story that some of you wrote about paper 1. I'm gonna use The Things They Carried, a Vietnam War story. Here I am. So I'm skipping the part about keyword. I'm not gonna worry about that. I'll just do this. The things they carry, and you can see. Already I've got some suggestions here. I don't want the whole short story collection. I don't want research on that. I want this. I want the short story itself to be searched for. So I'm going to use that. Person about. Well, it's Tim O'Brien. I'll just do his last name. Notice I'm not even using Conan O'Brien. I'm not even using capitals. I'm just trying to keep it simple. And I'm going to leave the keyword, I'm going to leave it blank for now. If I wanted to, I could type in symbolism or theme or something, but that's just complicating things. Let's just see what's here. Things they carried under the Gale Index. So it tells me I've got 40 pieces of literature criticism. They give you 3 up front, and then they say show more results if you want them. There's a lot more in there. I've got biographies I could look at, although I think I've advised in your research papers that's not necessarily helpful. Down here, I've got topic and work overviews. This often is very helpful. There's even more stuff down here. I don't even know what this is down here. In other words, I have a lot of resources here. So the question is, what should I concentrate on? If you've read the document on finding sources in this class, I've said basically there's 2 places you should look at first. Obviously, the first thing is get your master plots essay. That's not on this database, but you know how to get that essay. It's just a good starting point. Secondly, again and again, I've brought up a book chapter from a book called Short Stories for Students. All of your stories are represented in Short Stories for Students. And that's a full chapter that has 3 to 4 sources right in there. It's just such a good place to start this whole process that I've kind of think that's what I'm trying to get you to do with this first search of the sources. Here I've got a lot of interviews with the author. That might be helpful, but I don't know. And right now I don't really want to deal with that. I want to find that short stories for students and find the essays in there. So I'm going to look at show more results. How will I find this? Okay. Let's say, okay, here's an article about the things they carried, about women in there. I don't know if that's helpful or not. I don't want to get there until I finish with short stories for students. I want to see where this comes from. This came from Short Story Criticism. So fine, but I don't care about that one. Here's another article about this story, and this also came from Short Story Criticism. Here's an essay, Short Story Criticism. So a lot of these are in Short Story Criticism. Here's one in Contemporary Literary Criticism. Right now, I just want to find these might be helpful. I don't know, but I just want to find the Short Stories for Students chapter because that's what I think would be the best place to start. So I'm going here, looking not at the title, but at the source, and I'm seeing nothing. I will not get discouraged because I know it's there. I know there is a chapter on this story. Although there's a lot of stuff here. You know, when people come to me and say, "Oh, Mr. Dow, I couldn't find any sources," it's ridiculous. Let's see more results. More results. We're looking for short stories for students, and I know it's here. Contemporary literary criticism, contemporary popular writers, critique. Oh, so many things. Right? There it is. Short stories for students. So it is here. What I've got here is one essay out of the many things that appear in Short Stories for Students. I can continue to search here and try to get all those essays one by one. There's generally going to be 4 or 5. Here's another one. Or I can use the other database, which will take me right to that book and right to that chapter. I'm showing you this database because not only does it have those Short Stories for Students essays in it, it has so many other things as well that, I mean, you know, maybe something in here is going to help me. Let's say I look at this one, The Things Men Do, the gendered subtext in Tim O'Brien's Esquire stories. I look into that. Let's look into that briefly. So I've got okay, it's a full text article. I could listen to it if I wanted to. And yeah, this is potentially very helpful about imagination and masculinity. Again, this is pretty complex compared to the Short Stories for Students with the master plots, but it's a potential source. But okay, I'm gonna leave this database right now because I don't want to have to collect these articles one by one. I want them all together in that chapter, and that didn't appear on here. So I'm going to leave this one, go back to the database list, and now instead of using the Literature Resource Center, I'm going to use the Gale Virtual Reference Library. This doesn't have any of the journal articles in it, but it does have books. So let's take a look at this. Again, no keyword. I'll just type in the things they carried. Notice I don't get any, I'm getting suggestions, but they're not very helpful. So I'm just going to leave it as it is. And then I'll put in, it says entire document. Well, I will put in O'Brien again because that's what I'm looking for. The things they carry, O'Brien, what has been written about this? I should be getting books here. Well, here are the books. I've got the book called Short Stories for Students. The Things They Carried is the name of the chapter. If I look at the pages there, can you see it? There's 18, 20 pages here, which are only about the things they carried. So this is what I want. That's all those essays have been collected here. Work over this. I don't know if these other books might be helpful as well, but I'm not even going to worry about them right now, but I could use them. So let's take a look at what's here in the Short Stories for Students chapter on this story. Basically, it's going to cover all these things, and all of this was potentially helpful to me. It's just a good starting place too. They're not getting too deep into anything. So I've got an author biography, plot summary. There's Tim O'Brien, the author. It goes into the characters a little bit, different themes that are important. All this stuff could be used as quotations in my paper on this story. And all of this is written. All of this has no author. There's no actual listed author here. So it's a source, but it's a non-authored source, which I would just attribute to the book, Short Stories for Students. There's a way to do that. I just want to point out, though, that at a certain point, we will get different authors in here. Critical overview tells you how this story was received. Now, right here, when I get to criticism, and this is going to happen in every Short Stories for Students chapter, Elizabeth Piedmont Martin, she is now the second author. She wrote this here. She did not write this. This stuff is unauthorized, written by somebody who was hired by Short Stories for Students, provide an overview. Totally quotable, perfectly good source. This is Elizabeth Piedmont Martin's own article, which was probably published somewhere else and then collected here. She's a good writer. So this is a good source. Source number 2. I keep going. Right here, Rena Korb, source number 3. This is another article that was published somewhere else and is about the story, her take on the story. Laurie Smith. This is the 4th source now on this story. Let's get to the end of that. Okay, so there's my source list. When it says source here, this is the original source. This is the original citation for Laurie Smith's article in Critique. I can't use this because I didn't read Critique magazine to read this. I'm online looking at a database from Citrus College, so I'm not going to be using this. However, Citrus will show me what to do. But keep in mind, here's what we have. I found the chapter of short stories for students. I got an overview that counts as a source, and I got 3 different articles by different authors that all are different sources. I found 4 sources right here. Here is the source citation down here. This is the one I would use. This is what I would use for the overview, where there is no source author. I'm going to use when I do my works cited page. Since I don't have an author, I go to the next thing, which is what is the title of the thing I'm reading. Well, the chapter title is the same as the story title, so I'm going to cite this, the things they carried. Short stories for students. There's the editor. Here's all the URL. Here's the access date. For the other articles inside this source by Piedmont Martin, I would use this and just put their name in front. So it'd be Piedmont Martin, comma, first name, and then all this. So basically, that's what I'm doing to find this short stories for students specific article. So remember, I found this, things they carried. The full chapter was on Gale Virtual Reference Library. I also went to Gale Literature Resource Center, which has a lot of those articles in it. Might not have them all. Sometimes it does have the full chapter, but it also has many, many other articles that I could use. So overall, you want to find the master plots of your story. You want to find that short stories for students chapter of your story. And if you find those things, you've probably got 5 or 6 sources immediately, all of which are pretty good basic sources and a great place to start. So that's what I'd be telling you to do now to begin this process. But again, first I would read the assignment page about how to find sources in general, just to get an overview of what you're trying to do. Okay, send questions if you have them. All right.